Now let's talk about prashastis and land grants. In the earlier videos and the earlier classes, we have learnt what were prashastis. Prashastis were stories or collection of documents which are written, which maintain a proper record of everything that was happening at that time. So, prashastis, they contain particulars which may not be literally true, but they tell us how the leaders, they wanted to present themselves. They were chronicles or stories or poems about these leaders, how they were courageous and victorious warriors, for instance. They were composed mainly by scholarly Brahmins who sometimes assisted in administration. A long Sanskrit poem with the story of kings that ruled Kashmir. It was created by a writer known as Kalhana. So, these prashastis or these form of chronicles, they were very famous, and there is a very famous chronicle which was written about the kings in Kashmir. This was written by a poet known as Kalhana. He used various sources including inscriptions, documents, eyewitnesses and previous stories to write his story. Now here is an image of one such prashasti. Many rulers describe their achievements in prashastis. You can read them about on the Gupta ruler Samudragupta. So one prashasti written in Sanskrit and found in Gwalior, Madhya Pradesh was this. This prashasti is based on Nagabhatta, a Pratihara king, as follows. So the kings of Andhra, Sindhava, Sindh, Vidarbha, a part of Maharashtra, and Kaling, a part of Odisha, fell before him even as he was a prince. He won a victory over Chakrayudh, the ruler of Kannauj. He defeated the king of Vanga, part of Bengal, Anartha, part of Gujarat, and Malawa, which is a part of Madhya Pradesh, Kirat, forest people, and Turushka, the Turks, the Turkish people. Vatsa, Matsya, these were both the kingdoms of northern part of India. So this shows us that these are the chronicles about Nagabhatta and what kind of king and prince he was. So here is an image of set of copper plates. These were the recordings which were given and granted by a ruler. So these maintain all the recordings of land. This was used in 19th century. These were inscribed with Sanskrit and held the record of what land was owned by whom. They were usually sealed and stamped by the ruler. So, what was given with the land? So, this is a part of Tamil section of land grant given by the Cholas, the Chola dynasty rulers. We have demarcated the boundaries of land by making earthen embankments as well as planting thorny bushes. So the land was separated by these things. This is what land contains: fruit bearing trees, water, land, gardens, orchid trees, wells, open spaces, a village, anthills, platforms, canals, silt-laden land, tanks, etc. He who receives the land can collect taxes from it. So it was possible for the landowners to collect taxes from it. He can collect taxes imposed by judicial officers as fines. The tax on betel leaves, the pan patta, that was on woven clothes as well as vehicles. He can build large rooms with upper stories, multiple story buildings made of baked bricks. He can get large and small wells dug, plant trees, thorny bushes. He can get canals constructed for irrigation. So a person who owned the land could do whatever he want to do with his land. Cultivate it, harvest it, rent it, etc. So now let's talk about warfare for wealth. So as we see that a lot of dynasties were coming and living in India, there were many wars that were fought, many battles that were fought, not for anything or independence, but for wealth. What do you understand by wealth? So, wealth is resources in form of money, kind, gifts, things, etc. or materialistic things. So, one of the prominent of these leaders is Sultan Muhammad of Ghazni, Afghanistan. He ruled from 1997 to 1030. And expanded control over the parts of Central Asia, Iran and the Northwest. So he came from the Turkish region, the Turkey which is today, and he invaded India. So Sultan Muhammad of Ghazni, he came from Afghanistan. So He attacked the subcontinent and almost annually his targets were wealthy temples. So what he was doing, he used to invade India, attack Indian subcontinent, and he used to take away. He used to actually attack the wealthy temples and take away whatever money, gold, coins he found in it, including Somnath in Gujarat. So, a large part of wealth was taken by Muhammad, served to create a magnificent capital in Ghazni. So, Ghazni was the capital of his empire. So, Sultan Muhammad of Ghazni was also interested in learning more about the people he conquered. Had a scholar named Al-Biruni write a review of the subcontinent. So he wanted to learn what kind of people live in the Indian subcontinent, the land that he was invading. So what happened? He found a scholar known as Al-Biruni who wrote a review of the subcontinent that educated him about the people living here. This Arab work, known under the name of Kitab-ul-Hind, remains an important source for historians, because this gives us an evidence of what life and people were like in that time. So, he consulted Sanskrit scholars in preparing this narration, because that was written in Arabic and a lot of people at that time, they used to follow the Prakrit Sanskrit. The most famous sovereign of Chahamana was Prithviraj III. He ruled between 1168 to 1192. Who defeated an Afghan sovereign named Sultan Muhammad Ghori in 1191. So Prithviraj III, he was a very famous sovereign. I am sure you must have heard about the name Prithviraj. So he defeated the Afghan king Sultan Muhammad Ghori, but lost him the following year in 1192.